the Wednesday, November 15th, 2023 regular City Commission meeting. Thank you all for attending. We have some exciting things that we're going to be doing tonight, and I just met a new friend. Her name is Charlie, and I'm very excited to meet her. So she's going to watch her dad get sworn in tonight. So let's do the roll call.
Commissioner Frank O'Donnell.
Here.
Commissioner Rocky Smith.
Here.
Commissioner Mike Mitchell.
Here.
Commissioner Adam Marles is excused today. Mayor Denise McGriff.
Present. Would you please stand and join me in the flag salute? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Bless you, whoever that was. Anyway, before we get to item number 3, which is ceremonies and proclamations, I just wanted to make just a brief statement. So some of you are aware that last month, the City of Oregon City partnered with Clackamas Women's Services and the District Attorney's Office to bring awareness to the issue of domestic violence. The City of Oregon City mourns the loss of one of its citizens who had her life taken by domestic violence. It is our hope that we will continue to be vigilant regarding this particular topic, and we know that domestic violence affects everyone. Please keep the family and the children in your prayers and thoughts, and if we could just take a moment of silence in remembrance. Anyway, thank you, everyone. So tonight we have oath of officers for new Oregon City police officers, and it's always exciting. I'm going to turn this over to Chief Davis.
Thank you, Mayor, Commissioners. Good evening. I'd like to call up Justin Harlan and Brandon Cafis, if they can come up front. And stand up front right there. Justin Harlan, he started with us on October 13th. Justin was raised in Oregon City and graduated from Oregon City High School. He started with the Portland Police Bureau in July of 2022 and worked there for approximately 15 minutes before being hired as a lateral police officer.
15 minutes?
15 minutes, sorry, 15 months. Yeah, sorry, thanks. It felt like 15 minutes. Justin has already started his field training. Interestingly, his brother is a firefighter with Clackamas Fire, Matt, who's here with us, so they could be both working in Oregon City at the same time if everything works out. Here tonight with him is his wife, Tricia, his mother-in-law, Hillary, brother-in-law, Ryan, grandmother, Annette, Aunt Kathy, and brother, Matt.
Okay, family, raise your hand if you want to say hi. And our firefighter brother, hi there. Thank you. Thank you for your service.
And then Brandon Cafis. Brandon started with us on October 16th. He grew up in the Portland area and graduated from Sunset High School. He obtained a bachelor's degree from Western Oregon University and previously worked for security for Providence Hospitals. Brandon is scheduled to begin the academy in January, and he's started his training too. Here tonight with him is his wife, Jewel, and their soon-to-be 2-year-old daughter, Charlotte.
All right. You get the mic.
Thank you.
All right, so you've got it there in front of you.
Perfect. All right.
Sorry, I've done this before. Yes,
Yeah.
raise your right hand
Right.
and please repeat. So I, your name,
Justin Harlan,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will uphold the law and support
that I will uphold the law and support
the Constitution of the United States of America and the state of Oregon.
the Constitution of the United States of America and the state of Oregon.
I will abide by the Law Enforcement Code of Ethics and the Department's rules and regulations
I will abide by the Law Enforcement Code of Ethics and the department's rules and regulations
while faithfully performing my duties as a police officer for the City of Oregon City.
while faithfully performing my duties as a police officer for Oregon City.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, are you ready?
I am.
Okay, so I
Brandon Cafis,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will uphold the law and support
that I will uphold the law and support
the Constitution of the United States and the state of Oregon.
the Constitution of the United States and the state of Oregon.
I will abide by the law enforcement code of ethics
I will abide by the law enforcement code of ethics
and the department's rules and regulations
and the department's rules and regulations
while faithfully performing my duties as a police officer for the city of Oregon City.
while faithfully performing my duties as a police officer for the city of Oregon City.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
So let's see, they signed there, yeah, so 2 copies. Here's the other pin. And the guys are standing by for our birthday bell, or photo op. All right, guys.
Mine too.
Okay, one of those.
We'll send you the 8x10 glasses later. Congratulations again. Congratulations. Yep. See you on the road, as they say. Hopefully we won't, but I- See you on the road. Bye, Charlie. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, families. Thank you for your support. All right. So next on our agenda is a proclamation declaring the last full Saturday in November as Small Business Saturday. So whereas the City of Oregon City celebrates our local small businesses and the contributions they make to our local economy and community, and whereas the United States Small Business Administration states that there are 33 million small businesses in the United States, Small businesses represent 99.7% of firms with paid employees. Small businesses are responsible for 62.7% of net new jobs created since 1995. And small businesses employ 46.4% of the employees in the private sector in the United States. And whereas 72% of consumers report that Small Business Saturday 2022 made them want to shop and dine in small, independently owned retailers and restaurants all year long, and whereas Oregon City supports the Chamber of Commerce and the Downtown Association and the local businesses that create jobs, boost our local economy, and preserve our communities, and whereas advocacy groups as well as public and private organizations across the country have endorsed the Saturday after Thanksgiving as Small Business Saturday, now, therefore, I proclaim Denise C. McGriff, Mayor of the City of Oregon City, along with the City Commission, do hereby proclaim November 25th, 2023 as Small Business Saturday, and urge the residents of our community and communities across the country to support small businesses and merchants on Small Business Saturday and shop small throughout the year. I will sign this proclamation dated 15th of November, 2023. And I might add that the annual cookie cutter event at our downtown businesses will take place on Small Business Saturday. And I understand they have some really new and exciting ones, so go on downtown and shop and collect your cookie cutters. I will be doing that as well. I've added them to my tree every year and have gotten some great gifts for Christmas at our businesses downtown. So thank you, and I have copies that will be given to the Downtown Oregon City Association and to the Chamber of Commerce. All right, next on our agenda is item number 4, which is our consent agenda and adoption of the agenda. Oh, yes. Do we have anybody that's here for citizen comments? All right, forgot about that. Nope, okay. So we'll go to 5. We have no presentations this evening, but we have the adoption of the agenda. We have 2 items on the consent agenda. Is there anything that anybody would like to look at, or do I have a motion?
I'd like to pull item 7B.
7B, okay. Do we have approval for item 7A on a motion?
Move to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we adopt the consent agenda. All those in favor of the motion, as he reads the roll, will say aye, and all those who are opposed will say no. So roll call, please.
Commissioner Frank O'Donnell.
Aye.
Commissioner Rocky Smith.
Aye.
Commissioner Mike Mitchell.
Aye.
And Mayor Denise McGriff.
Aye.
Motion passes.
So while we have our, so we don't have any public hearings tonight, and while we only have 1 item on general business, and I know there are 3 people here for that, Mr. Lewis, could you come up on 7B? Which is now 9A, and the other one's 9B. However you want to do that, Jacob. So your question, Mr. Mitchell?
Yeah, I just have a couple of questions. Do we still think that 2.6 million is going to get it done?
Well, that 2.6 million was estimated several years ago. In our discussions with ODOT, first of all, ODOT's managing this project, so the 2.6 million wasn't assuming the project would move forward in this manner where ODOT had to deliver the project, right? We weren't sure where we were going to get the funding from, so now it's a federally funded project and ODOT's managing that. ODOT has shared with us that they are concerned about whether or not it could be done for 2.6 million. Although their estimate includes about $1 million for right-of-way acquisition, and we own all the property that would be needed to enlarge the right-of-way. So I'm not sure at this point, but it's really a little too early. If you remember when we first scoped this, we did part of the federal requirements are that we do a walk around with the railroad, with ODOT Rail, with ODOT, and a handful of other folks. And so that was a pretty extensive effort when we first did that, but things could change based on a different group of people that might participate in that. So I guess to answer your question is we're My confidence is not as high as I'd like it to be with regard to that question. And if we do go over, the city's obligated to pay for that.
Yeah, so that kind of leads to my next question. You know, we kind of got surprised a bit a short time back on a different project that came in a lot higher than I think any of us might have wanted. And this commission didn't know about until fairly late in that process. So where are we? I mean, what's our tolerance level for going over 2.6 million and when we come back to this commission before we go over, because anything over 2 million is on us, right? On the city.
We have a $600,000 match and to make for the 2.6 million. So there's a $200 million, or there's a $2 million grant. So yeah, anything over that would be up to the city to make, and we'd have to make a decision at that point in time how we were going to fund it.
Okay.
At that point, we'd be into the project, wouldn't we? I mean, the cost overruns, I know exactly what you're saying. We've got that experience both within the city and within another board that I sat on, where it's not a question of 5 or 10 or 15% over, it's 100% over.
Yeah.
And the city's on the hook for that according to this document. And I'm not comfortable that, given the age of the estimates, that I feel it would be leaving us an open-ended obligation. It might be quite excessive.
Right. Yeah, that's what I don't want to see happen.
Yeah, me neither. So how do you
How do we manage that?
get the information you need to make a confident decision that we can bear whatever financial increase we're going to incur?
Well, we do have an engineering phase. I would say that there's potential to get through that phase. There'll be a new estimate that'll go along with that. And while the way the agreement reads now, ODOT moves forward with that unless we abandon the agreement or step back from the agreement, which has provisions for that. And so we will know more about the updates as they're related to new engineering cost estimates. So we will have, we can bring back at that point in time if we find out that those costs, that the 2.6 million is well under, we can bring that back to the commission and talk to ODOT and decide to pull that. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that there won't be cost implications to the 600,000 that we were already obligated. And at the engineering phase of this, I don't know where that cost is, but so my point is we may be still due to pay ODOT for their time involved in getting us to that point. But yeah, until that's the challenge, that's the challenge with these projects, especially the federally funded projects. Our ability to kind of control those costs is limited. And like I said, these are, trying to remember the type of funding, but it's federal funding, but this was an earmark. This was a legislative earmark that was dedicated to this. And at the time they asked us, hey, do you have projects? We said, yeah, we do. Here's a project, and it's estimated at 2.6 million. And so I wish my confidence were higher, but I don't have that right now. And this is a challenging project. Obviously, there's Union Pacific involved, and there's always safety requirements and inspection requirements and things like that could change.
Well, I think as long as we have the ability to work with ODOT and say, hey, wait a minute, we need to go back and revisit this, but I think getting this started it's been a goal of the city for a long time. I know that when we finally got the allocation, the earmark, I wish it had been higher, but, they have to have a specific amount. So when Congressman Schrader got that, that was the number. We couldn't put anything in that says it needed to be adjusted for inflation because it wouldn't get passed. But I think it at least gives us,
Well, and right now,
foot in the door.
we've got a $2 million grant. We've got a $600,000 match that was an ARPA allocation, if my recollection's correct.
Yes.
And so the city's buy on this project, if you want to, look at it from a perspective of money that has come from taxes or urban renewal or utilities or anything else, we've yet to make that contribution under the $2.6 million project. So if we brought it back to you with an ask for $1 million, let's say, we'd have to make a tough decision on, well, okay, how are we going to fund that? I mean, that's a conversation I'm going to have to sit down with Tony and Matt to figure out how we do that, how we can justify that before we bring that to you for a proposal.
See, I don't understand how we arrive at a high confidence of knowing what our exposure would be. I don't want to start down the path only to have to be drawn all the way into the path to the point where I incur a large financial obligation that's mandated and not anticipated. I mean, if you're not confident, you're close to the project, I'm not confident. I understand the desire for the project. I'm just concerned about the exposure, not having current costs in view of our recent experiences with other projects that were 100% plus over budget. Is there a way to give us confidence that we're not going to get into a point where you come back and say, you know what, I don't need 600,000, I need 1.6. We don't, that's my concern.
I'm just not as familiar with where ODOT is in their, they've got momentum on this one right now, right? Which we've been wanting for a long time, but I'm willing to go back to ODOT and say, where exactly is your thinking with regard to this based on your estimates to date, and see if they can share that information with us and go from there.
Is there
I
an
just think
escape
that they
clause?
estimate high.
Is there an escape clause or an opportunity to abort if we find out that it's so excessive that we don't want to enter into it?
Yeah. I know in the agreement itself, there is a cancellation clause, but these are federal funds. There's some expectations on the federal side for delivery, and ODOT, this way this agreement is, there's an expectation that they're going to deliver this project. And so I guess I would have to bring it back to you and to answer that question clearly, because I think that we are obligating ourselves to a quiet zone project delivered, and if that requires additional funding, we're going to have to come up with a solution for that.
We may have the opportunity to seek additional funds elsewhere. I don't know where that would be, but, ODOT Rail has got to work with us on this. It's kind of where I am.
Well, respectfully, that's a big may.
I know.
Yeah, I'm most confident that ODOT Rail, UP, they're not going to come to the table with funding. This will be if there's an overage, it's going to be a city-funded
on us.
overage. Yes. But I don't want to be unclear about that. It's really just a question of how do we do that? And I think there's really just a handful of pots, and that's pavement maintenance fee. There's some pavement maintenance associated with this project that we need to do, gas taxes, general fund, urban renewal. And I don't know all the details about how your hands are tied with urban renewal, but, or additional grant funding.
Again, my concern, based on recent experience on a board I sit on, I don't know what the components of that $2 million cost are, plus it's a 2-year-old estimate, correct? I mean,
Right.
And we just faced something in another board I sit in where not only the labor costs had gone up, but the cost, and I'm not seeing a breakdown on this project, that there's equipment, some of the equipment we had to purchase went up 100%. And I'm not saying from 50,000 to 100, I'm saying from 150 to 350. I mean, it went up that much because they could. And I mean, I know I sound like the harbinger of doom up here, but I am concerned about our financial obligation and what that'll entail. I wish I had more confidence, like yourself, like you would like to have, in these very numbers. And I don't know what the line items are that involve the construction of this project and where and they can be refreshed and brought up to current.
Well, why don't you give me till next meeting to find out if we can get a better estimate. That's really just checking with ODOT to find out where they're at on this. And we can bring this agreement back to you in December.
I mean, the other thing could be, would there be an opportunity to work with ODOT to write into this agreement that upon completion of an engineering estimate, the agency has the right to terminate due to considerable overages of the estimate or something?
I think that sounds reasonable.
We need some kind of escape clause that we don't incur some giant obligation that
You're
was
concerned that
unintended.
it's a blank check, and we don't want that.
Only based on our recent experience on 2 projects. I mean, it's not theory, it's what we've seen. But again, what are the components of this cost? Is it equipment? Okay, if it's equipment and we have a bid on it, what is that current cost on that bid? Is it still what it was? What's the escalator on labor? I mean, I think we should refresh the cost components of the project so that this commission has confidence in saying proceed or don't proceed. That's my only thought.
No, I
So-
think he's going to bring it back, so.
Yeah, do we need a motion to table this? Okay.
Yeah, table makes sense.
I'll move to table item 7B, pending the additional information from ODOT and the possible addition of an escape clause in the agreement.
Second.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Commissioner Frank O'Donnell,
Aye.
Commissioner Rocky Smith,
Aye.
Commissioner Mike Mitchell,
Aye.
and Mayor Denise McGriff.
Aye.
Motion passes.
All right. So we have on our agenda a review of the Youth Opioid Prevention Grant Program Committee Evaluation and Award Announcement. Chief Davis.
Mayor Commission, thank you. Tonight, we're here to present the one application for the Youth Opioid Prevention Grant, and that was from Oregon City Together. During the budget hearings, 23-25, the Budget Committee earmarked $40,000 each year of the biennium for Youth Opioid Prevention Grant Program. As you're aware, we brought this to the commission for approval, and the application was open from October 1st to October 31st. We did receive one grant application. The applicants are here today. When that closed, we created a grant evaluation committee, consisted of 2 commissioners and city staff. They reviewed that. It's in your packet, both the initial application and the average scores for the grant committee. Overall, the grant committee was very supportive and in favor of the grant. However, there was a few things that needed to be addressed in the grant application. I reached out to the applicant. One was the budget. It just didn't look like the budget was fully complete, right? The numbers were there, it just didn't add up. So they resubmitted that per our request, per the evaluation committee. Second, the evaluation committee wanted to see some sort of, how is this gonna measure success, right? So originally, they do a 2-year survey with the school, but that next one would be 2025. Evaluation committee wanted something more. So I reached out to the applicant. They're agreed to do a pre and post survey, and that is in there. So they resubmitted the application with those corrections, and they're in the packet that is under the revisions. The applicant is here today. If you have any questions about the application, I'm here for any questions.
Is there any questions of Chief Davis? No. I would say that your assessment is correct. When I was reviewing this, I, as you stated, everybody that was doing the review was very supportive of this. Again, it just wasn't clear, and because the grant period is shorter than the timeline for the survey, that's why we wanted that. The other thing that you talked about as well, I guess as in the future, I would recommend do not put anything that says see attachment. If you've got a section, you can make that longer and attach it, because then you're going back and forth while you're trying to review this and compare what you're contrasting. So that'd be my one suggestion for the grant applicants in the future. I appreciate the fact that they redid the budget, and we're able to understand what we were asking for. So if you're ready to come on up, come on up. And make sure the mic is up closer to you than way, way back there, because sometimes it works great if it's far away, and other times it just does not. So,
Great. Can you hear me?
yes.
Awesome. Do you have any questions?
Yeah, name,
Ann Haynes with Oregon City Together.
perfect.
And Heidi Blackwell.
So,
Yes,
since the
she's-
other commissioners were not party to the review, and even though the application is complete, why don't you just give us just a little overview?
Okay, great. So this proposal is actually something we're really excited about because we're going to be working with the youth leadership group and, of course, the whole school at Oxla, which is something that we haven't done in a while. And so we'll be having them help us create a youth mental health promotion campaign, so by youth, for youth. They'll also be presenting it to other schools, other youth groups to get like focus group information and research so that we can roll it out wide. It'll also be presented to parents and the community. So we're excited about that because we know that if we can provide protective factors for kids and help increase or decrease mental health issues, which we know a lot of our kids in Oregon City today say that they do have those kinds of issues, stress and anxiety, that it will prevent substance use in the future, and that's our goal. So that's what we're going to be doing with them, and we're bringing in a nationally known trainer who does work with youth groups like this. He's actually based in Eugene, but he does a lot of national work. He'll be coming in and working with the youth at Oxla, and we're really excited, and so is Sarah at the school, so we're really looking forward to that, being able to do that with them.
You had mentioned that it's not something you've done for a while, so how does this maybe explain a little more on how this approach differs from what you've done in the past? And what I was looking for in your application was how you're building on what you've done previously.
So this is peers, providing support to peers, right? This is not necessarily parents getting the tools that then they use on their children. This is youth that have lived experience with these drug and alcohol issues, and they are making these public service announcements that will then be shared throughout our school district and our community. So these are students, these are kids, these are youth that are really living this experience and then being willing and vulnerable to share this with our community.
And you said it's the Youth Council at Oxla?
So yeah, the Oregon City Service Learning Academy, they have
Right.
on Fridays, they have specific time for service learning and project-based learning. And so that's when this would be carried out. So they have time set aside in their schedule, and we would be supporting them with producing the different parts of the campaign.
Other questions? Go ahead.
I think, so I'm a teacher at Oregon City High School. I think I'm familiar with the survey. If it's the same annual survey that is offered to, is it middle school and high school, or is it
Yes.
all?
It is.
But is that a state survey, or is that a OC Together survey?
No, that's a state survey.
Okay.
The one that we based our initial information on, as far as seeing that 70% of our students are struggling with mental
Right.
health needs, and the perception of harm for our students as far as what they're thinking about the different categories, marijuana, opioids, fentanyl, that all came up as ways that we could address it was through mental health support.
So if that's a state survey and is not an OC Together survey, then how, if there's a change in that survey for the better, how do we think that that ties to this money? How do we know that that is the change? We don't. So
Prevention work's tough to measure.
So as a measuring bar, it's not a great bar. I mean, yes, we hope that it improves, but the improvement is not gonna, the survey is not gonna tell us that this funding approved or the program was changed anything. So
So-
I think, I don't think there's, I mean, there is definitely an issue in our schools. There's definitely a need for support in mental health and for drug use awareness and all of that. However, I'm not going to throw a big fit about $20,000 for the only grant that came forward, but we have to find a better way of tracking it. We have to find a better way of measuring success, because success on that survey could be for any possible factor, regardless of this funding or regardless of this program. And I'll be honest, in the last couple proposals from OC Together, the proposals were light and not very specific. And we've seen this even with this go around with the budget being asked for, and not very specific budget, not a very specific plan. In fact, I mentioned it in our budget cycle that we didn't ever get a very specific plan. And I was I was told, yes, you did, here it is. And I went through it, it was very vague. I'm going to support it because I think it needs to happen and it's something, but that survey is not going to tell us if there's improvement based on the program. So we have to figure out a way to measure that. You have to figure out a way to have the budget so it's not just an after-school program club, that it's not just, we do a lot of programs at Oregon City School District, and we do a lot of funding for pizza and a lot of funding for various things that don't show any actual accomplishment. So we really have to figure out a way, and I'd be willing to help figure, I don't know how we do that, but we have to figure out a way of just actually tackling some of these issues and tying it to the exact program, but that survey is not going to do. The survey is going to say, hey, we did a better job, but we won't have any way of knowing how. And so I think we got to get a better way of figuring that out. I definitely, if we see improvement in that survey, great, but we have to track it better.
Is there a way they can modify the survey at all to?
Well, that's a good question. I don't know if OC Together could do a specific survey that says, how are the factors that what are the factors that changed your decision making, and was this one of them? I don't know, because that would be able to connect in some way. We could maybe do some survey of that, because I don't want to, I think it's super important. I see, the issues that are happening at the high school every day, which would shock people. And so I definitely think that we have this, these funds for a reason. We should be using them. We should be doing something. And if it doesn't work, we do something different. But I just think I also, and for the future, I think there's so many partnerships that we need to think about in Oregon State. I've talked about this several times, with our connection from the police department, the school resource officers, and the programs that we're doing already in the middle school, high school, the youth leadership teams that have been created at the city level and also at the school level. There's so many possibilities of taking this piece as a start and building upon it. And so I'm supportive of all that. I think we got to, as we work on it, I think we'll get to a better, program. We can start measuring these things. I just think that so far we're still like, well, we're not quite sure what we're doing. And I know that we don't, because we're just starting it. But I'll leave it at that.
Mike?
Nothing for me.
Well, I understand what Commissioner Smith is saying. It's kind of a cause and effect thing. And the other difficulty is, how do you measure an event that didn't occur? How do you measure lives that you saved? And in the end, I call it the Portland trap, but just throwing money at something. But let's try it. Let's try it. And if you can gather testimonials or people that say, you know what, this event changed my life, or this counseling, that's what you're going to need. It's not going to be the normal gathering of data, because you're trying to document events that didn't happen because of something you did.
Right.
So the cause is so important that I cannot see saying no to it.
And I think anytime, if you ask youth, or anybody for that matter, but youth in particular, I mean, this is self-reporting. And there's all kinds of different motives that go into that.
Yeah.
So, how do you get to, a survey that you can rely on? I'm not sure, but that doesn't mean that we shouldn't try.
Yeah, but it
So let's
also
try.
means that a survey may not be the only measurement that's
Right.
being used.
Right.
So if you've got this consultant, that would be something I would be looking for on the, because you're going to have to do some check-ins along the way. And maybe that's question number 2 that you ask them, is that, we're going to do this survey. We're going to accelerate it from 2 year to 1 year. What else would you suggest that we use as a measurement to understand? Because that was what I was struggling with when I was reviewing it, is that I get the whole thing, but then I got to the end and I said, okay, where are the benchmarks, where are the measurements? That's where I was struggling with. So was Commissioner Morrow. So we're all on the same page with that. So, okay. Are there any other questions? Is there a motion?
I'll move to approve the grant award as laid out here in item 9A.
Second.
Second. I think we're all going to second it. So roll call, please.
Commissioner Frank O'Donnell.
Aye.
Commissioner Rocky Smith.
Aye.
Commissioner Mike Mitchell.
Aye.
And Mayor Denise McGriff.
Aye.
Motion passes.
And, please don't hesitate, when you're doing your update report, if you want to do sort of a check-in in person with the evaluation committee, I think we have a lot of latitude on what we can do with this, and maybe lots of heads together, even though we're not totally immersed in the program. There's always something that we could do to help, so.
Thank you for the work you're doing.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
All right, so we still have one more thing we have to do tonight. So are there any communications?
Not tonight, thank you.
Commissioners? I
No.
don't have any either. Other than I don't know the date for the ODOT meeting that's
Oh,
on. I know
still?
it's the 2nd, but I don't know the time, and I don't have any
Yeah.
further information. So as soon as I get something or hear something from C4,
They said 10 a.m.
yeah,
to noon.
but we don't know
Oh,
where
jeez.
yet.
No.
Yeah.
And also interesting, in the newspaper articles, online, they're calling this a discussion of east side congestion. No mention of the word tolling.
Well,
Well, they don't want to use that word. That's a
Oh, of
trigger
course
word.
not.
What's in
Of
the
course
name,
not.
right? What is in the
Trigger
name?
word.
I just thought that was interesting.
Yeah, well, there's an exciting meeting tomorrow with JPAC on adoption of the RTP. So anyway, all right, so we will adjourn, and we will be adjourning into executive session.